Thank you. My name is Ben Lloyd-Pearson. I'm head of developer experience at a company called LeadingEng. We're one of the sponsors who has a booth out there. We're an engineering intelligence platform that helps engineering leaders with the data and insights that you need to make informed decisions for your organization. We work with a lot of organizations who have concerns about developer experience, and we come to develop a pretty strong understanding of shared traits among organizations who engage in DevX initiatives. So this talk will cover some of the key insights that we've uncovered. I want to start by addressing a common myth for developer experience. So I think too often engineering leaders believe that they can't tie DevX to bottom line investments. It's easy to justify new features because they do things like help close new customers, improve retention, meet market demand, but it's a lot more difficult to draw a direct line between infrastructure improvements and bottom line value. So this is what I want to demystify for you in the next few minutes, and I want to thank the Reddit hive mind for inspiring this talk. So I have 5 key indicators that I want to cover today, and we're going to start at the top of your engineering organization and go all the way down to the lowest levels. But first, I want to briefly bring up surveys because this is a conversation that we have with a lot of companies who are beginning their DevX journey. In fact, I've spoken with many of the people here in the audience already about this concept. And we believe that surveys are one piece of the puzzle, and they're a good way to quickly get a DevX initiative up and off the ground. And to summarize, they're really great at quickly gathering qualitative data that's focused on your company's needs, but it can take weeks, months, or even years to get useful quantitative data. And there's a few big problems with surveys. First, they require you to build a historical benchmark because they're subject to extremity bias. So you're likely to get extreme positive or extreme negative responses. They also require a pretty significant amount of upkeep and maintenance. You need to capture the attention of your developers at the right time and ask them the right questions to make sure that you're getting useful information. And there's also some diminishing returns with them. So engagement and enthusiasm tends to wane over time. So it can take quite a bit of effort to keep people engaged over quarters and years. And the thing is, you actually don't need a very deep investment into surveys to take advantage of them. In fact, simple can actually be extremely effective. We recommend starting small, focus on areas where you have a high degree of uncertainty, and use surveys to bring further clarity. So, a lot of HR software has surveys built in. There's custom-built products like SurveyMonkey, or even a Google form can work in a pinch. So now let's dive into those indicators that I shared just a moment ago. And we'll start, like I mentioned, at the top of your engineering organization. So the challenge is that if you overinvest in new features and improvements and underinvest in the critical infrastructure that you need to keep the lights on, over time, you'll find yourself responding more and more to unexpected situations. If you're already in a place where you're spending excessive time on bugs, tech debt, unplanned work, it would be a good idea to benchmark your organization to see how much effort you spent on things like developer experience. And all of this work represents a poor experience for your development team and directly impacts the productivity of your organization. LeadingEng publishes an engineering benchmarks report every year that includes investment benchmarks among many others. And we found that across more than 2,000 organizations and over 3.5 million PRs, the average organization invests about 15% of their effort into developer experience. And this category includes improvements to developer productivity and overall work experience. So some examples include improving tooling and platforms, adding test automation, restructuring code to reduce technical debt, or reducing backlog. But you may find yourself in a different step of this journey and need to benchmark yourself accordingly so you can track these initiatives over time. Brand new projects tend to focus more on new value generation and developer experience, while a more mature product might invest more in feature enhancements and keeping the lights on. But either way, you should know where your engineering org is today so that you can make data-backed decisions. And this brings us to my next point. High-performing organizations are predictable. No manager wants to be on their own when they have to explain why their team only hit 60% of what they committed to in this quarter, just as no developer wants to be on the team who is constantly pressured to deliver over capacity. Your company plans major initiatives around engineering launches, and any sort of delay resonates to your entire GTM, your go-to-market organization. So it's important to communicate these delivery risks early and have the data to inform decisions about resourcing. Don't leave this to guesswork. And at the end of the day, predictability comes down to tying individual activity to the overall roadmap. So you should know at a glance what is contributing to your ability to deliver software predictably so that you can take action in real time. Unplanned, installed work, and overextended developers have a direct negative impact on your ability to consistently deliver software. And this brings us to the effects that team efficiency has on developer experience. When you think about the typical day in a developer's life, much of it takes place within software cycles. So that's the process of creating, reviewing, merging, and deploying code. Inefficiencies impact devs at the individual level, but the bottlenecks that create them often exist at the team level. So many of these problems are actually outside of your developer's control. So if you have a high coding time, that could indicate poor scoping or an underinvestment in developer experience. A high pickup time could indicate that there are communication and visibility gaps. A high review time might indicate that there's uncertainty in the merge process and you need more clarity. And a high deployment time could indicate a poor post-merge experience. And problems with any of these severely impact developer experience and lead developers in a situation where they feel powerless to make improvements. Working agreements are a great way to build a shared sense of responsibility in solving these inefficiencies. If everyone is upfront about what is expected of them, it provides a reference point to start discussions when problems arise. So you should set goals around code reviews, meeting time, focus time, CI wait times, or other things like that. And then make it easy to track when work isn't meeting these goals. To take this one step closer to your individual developers, it's also important to give your managers the insight that they need to understand the role each team member plays in achieving team goals. Every developer has their strengths and weaknesses, and a good manager knows how to piece individuals together like a puzzle. And I know that individual developer metrics can be a very touchy subject. Many of you are probably familiar with Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. So I want to stress the importance of taking a shared accountability approach to developer metrics. Use these metrics to understand how individual effort fits into team outputs, not to determine who your high or low performers are. Because remember that all of the inputs and outputs that are outside of a developer's control, like I mentioned just a moment ago. So what you really don't want to do is use metrics to assign blame. And then a couple of other metrics that your manager should be aware of include work in progress and burnout. So an excessive work in progress can show potential project delivery risks at the individual level. And then burnout indicators such as too many coding days in a short time span indicate that you may have some productivity risks. And this brings us to our final key indicator for developer experience. Healthy engineering cultures empower developers to proactively improve their environment. Further, DevX initiatives are unlikely to succeed without bottoms-up buy-in, and individual empowerment is how you get that buy-in. So this is things like optimizing your merge process, nudging developers when their teammates need help, or implementing some sort of self-service catalog for internal dev tooling. So all of these things make the lives of developers much easier. Nobody understands what your developers need more than the developers themselves. And so you want to create guardrails that make it easy for your developers to do the right thing. Again, here are the 5 key indicators that will help you maximize the impact of DevX investments from top to bottom. And I hope this session has given you a starting point to think about investing in developer experience. I'll be around for the rest of the day at our booth out there if you'd like to talk more about this. So feel free to stop by and add your thoughts to our whiteboard. So thank you.